So in case you haven't seen it, the Clintons have agreed to appear in the deposition in the Epstein probe, something they originally were hesitant to do, and then they were about to have a vote to hold them in contempt, and they said, no, we'll come testify. But there's some stipulations, specifically about the fact that Comer said he wants to record it, and Hillary's like, no, you're not going to record a video that you can then cherry pick what we said and leave stuff out. We want a public hearing. We want the American people to be able to see everything we have to say in its entirety, in its context. We want it all out there. Funny, in a unrelated, I'm sure, situation, Donald Trump was asked about Bill Clinton and this investigation, and he had some interesting things to say.
And the president had some surprising thoughts about former President Bill Clinton.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me.
Wow. Why would Donald Trump want this to go away? Why wouldn't he want the Clintons involved? In, again, unrelated news, over 234 mentions of Trump's name were deleted from the Epstein files, which they're not allowed to do. And despite the fact that it was removed 234 times, Trump's name is literally in the Epstein files more times than Harry Potter's name is in all 7 books. The Harry Potter series doesn't talk about Harry Potter as much as the Epstein files talk about Donald Trump. Oh, as long as we're talking about Trump in those files. Here's a claim that he threatened a woman, said she shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear like that 12-year-old girl, and that he was capable of having her family killed. And this is not like a hotline tip. This is not somebody called in and said, you know what I heard? No, this is sworn testimony under penalty of perjury in a case, because they were talking about a plaintiff in a case. They heard him allegedly say that to the plaintiff in the case.
I don't think Andrew's going to face up to what he's done until or unless he's on the stand. As 3 million pages of Epstein emails were released to the world, Andrew, formerly known as Prince, was seen driving down the long walk from Windsor Castle in his Range Rover.
Wow, Hillary Clinton is demanding that her and her husband, former President Bill Clinton, testify to Congress about the Epstein files in public, on camera, in front of the entire nation. Yet Republicans in Congress are trying to prevent this testimony from going public. They want it to be done in private. Why would they want that? Look at what Hillary Clinton is posting. She says, for 6 months, we engaged Republicans on the Oversight Committee in good faith. We told them what we know under oath. They ignored all of it. They moved the goalposts and turned accountability into an exercise in distraction. So let's stop the games. If you want this fight at Representative James Comer, let's have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing, cameras on. We will be there. What a disaster for MAGA and Republicans, because if they try to make this private, it makes them look bad. It makes them the ones that are trying to hide something from the public. They do talk a lot about accountability, and they're claiming that President Bill Clinton has something to hide. Well, he's trying to testify in front of all of us, and you're going to conceal that? You're going to try and hide what he has to say? Maybe he says something about one of you guys, maybe Donald Trump.
All right, folks, I want to show you Trump's reaction to the good news, and then we'll dive into the news itself. So for context, Donald Trump is being asked about the fact that President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have agreed to answer questions, to effectively be deposed under oath about the Epstein files. They have agreed, they've conceded to allowing themselves to answer questions under oath. So Donald Trump, of course, was the one who famously began the lock her up chants. He was the one who campaigned publicly on jailing his political opponents. Hillary Clinton didn't do that. Barack Obama didn't do that. Bill Clinton didn't do that. Kamala Harris didn't do that. Joe Biden didn't do that. Only Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024 has ever campaigned on jailing his political opponents. So number one, no sympathy for you. Number two, note where he says, oh, it's a shame. It's a shame in so many ways. Not happy about it. And he's really flattering towards the Clintons. You're thinking, that's a surprising tone shift for Trump. Trump's always trying to make fun of the Clintons and cast aspersions on the Clintons. Why does he think it's a shame? Why does he think it's bad that former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are now being forced to testify under oath about Jeffrey Epstein? Well, here's the big news. Sahil Kapoor from NBC, new after Republicans push Clintons to testify on Epstein, Democrats warn that they will haul in Trump.
Hey, Congressman Garcia, any comment to the Clintons now saying they will testify before House Oversight?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've said from day one that we wanted Bill Clinton to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. We've been repeating that. We've been working obviously with their teams, and so I'm glad they're going to testify. I think it's important to note that it's been clear that Comer and Republicans have been focused on attacks and going after Trump's personal enemies. We've just wanted the truth, and we've wanted them to testify, so I'm glad they're going to testify.
Would you have voted to hold them in contempt if this comes to the floor?
I think, look, I think obviously in our committee, I believe from day one that at the end of the day, if they weren't actually going to play by the same rules, then we've got to push back on that. But I've said from day one that we want to talk to anyone, including the Clintons, so I'm really glad they actually we're going to sit down and have a chance to speak to them.
Is that going to happen?
Well, look, I mean, I don't see how it couldn't. They've accepted every single term that's been laid out by Comer. I don't see any scenario where they can move forward with the vote. And so we've been pushing for them. We've said we want them to testify, and now we'll get the testimony.
Do you expect Comer to stand down on the contempt proceedings?
I don't see any scenario where he couldn't. Basically, they've accepted every single term that Comer has put in place, and so it makes sense they would move forward. We move forward with that.
And is it your understanding this will be a closed-door deposition?
I mean, most of them are. I mean, there'll be members and staff there, and it'll be transcribed, and so I imagine that at some point those will be public as well.
Okay.
Donald Trump just suffered a major miscalculation as the MAGA plan to pin the Epstein files on Bill Clinton has completely backfired. Donald Trump admitted to NBC News that he's very, very unhappy with the fact that former President Clinton is going to testify to Congress about the Epstein files, even though this was celebrated as a major victory by MAGA. They were claiming that this was going to show the Democrats were the ones who were guilty in the Epstein files, which may be true as well. But Donald Trump has just put it out in the open that he doesn't like the fact that Bill Clinton is testifying. He says he likes Bill Clinton. He says they understand something about each other, whatever that means. Sounds very creepy, if you ask me. And I think this shows that Donald Trump is worried about what Bill Clinton understands about Donald Trump, what Bill Clinton knows about Trump, and what Bill Clinton might share with Congress and the American people about the time they spent together with their friend Jeff.
Yes.
Mr. President, today we heard that the Clintons set deposition dates to testify before the House Oversight Committee. Any reaction to that related to the Epstein?
I think it's a shame, to be honest. I always liked him. Her, yeah. She's a very capable woman. She was better in debating than some of the other people, I will tell you that. She was smart woman. I hate to see it in many ways. I hate to see it. But, then I look at me. They went after me like... they wanted me to go to jail for the rest of my life. Then it turned out I was innocent, very innocent. And I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel badly that they have to go through that.
Prince Edward, the younger brother of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has become the first royal to speak publicly over the newly released Epstein files.
Really important always to remember the victims and who are the victims in all this.
Absolutely.
A lot of victims in this.
All right, let's go live to Mimi Becker, who joins us from London now. Mimi, it's rare for the royals to speak out like that.
Sarah, it is, but he did seemingly stick to the royal family line, bringing it back to remembering the victims. It comes after the former Prince Andrew has been embroiled deeper in the scandal following the release of more Epstein files. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, her charity, Sarah's Trust, has announced today that they will be closing for the foreseeable future over her close connections with Jeffrey Epstein. And this all comes as Bill and Hillary Clinton have now agreed to testify in front of US authorities after previously refusing to do so. They now say they want to do it publicly, and that should happen by the end of this month. Sarah.
Million more pages of files. More than 3 million more pages of files relating to Jeffrey Epstein have been released by the US Justice Department, and a familiar face seems to be cropping up again. In a newly released photo, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor appears to be on his hands and knees over an unidentified woman. An email exchange also shows a person with the sign-off His Royal Highness, allegedly inviting the disgraced paedophile to Buckingham Palace for dinner back in 2010. Their correspondence doesn't stop there. In another email, Epstein offers someone addressed as the Duke a friend who he might enjoy having dinner with. Epstein describes her as 26, beautiful and trustworthy. Andrew denies any wrongdoing, and appearing in these files does not imply any criminality.